Yo, 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 what is going on, COD Familia? It is your boy BN, aka Mr. Kingdom Builder, and today we are going to be taking a look at some KvKs. I'm going to be showing you some data averages. I will also be showing you what my hopes are for the future of KvK seasons, given what appears to be at least a trending and growing disparity between powers, PvP stats, and fair matchups. And this is just more of my hope for the future. So as always, if you enjoy the content, make sure you throw us up because that helps out a lot. I'm sure that'll get better over time. Hopefully you guys are enjoying the new mic because I am ecstatic. Didn't realize this thing was green here until it came. So if you see some see-through, well, that's just the green screen behind us. Okay, let's go ahead and dive right in. So the first thing I want to show you guys real quick is just going to be some initial stats on how the KvKs thus far from Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3 are stacking up, right? So what do the numbers look like for the matchups? Are they fair? Are they balanced? And then what do those averages look like from each of the seasons for SOS, specifically Dragonfall, that have played out so far? Because I think now that we have data for 3 KvK seasons and Season of Strife Dragonfall, we can see a little bit more of where those trend lines are playing out. So let me go ahead and show you this first. And I'm going to get some fancy switcheroonies going on here. But what we can see at the moment is, and let me show you this one here. So these are the averages at currently for what we have. And maybe it might just end up being best if I just skadoosh myself over here as usual. So if we start with Gen 1, there is and this is across the 9 KvK groups, right? So like as an example, here's Gen 1, right? Here's all the matchups pre-Brink of War, right? Here's the teams. Oops, hang on, that's let's go to preview, right? No, is it not preview? Oh, overview, I think, yeah. So right, so here's all the teams, the matchups we've shown you before. Here's what the numbers look like for Gen 1. So between those 9 KvK groups, there is a 4.02 differential. That's the average. So if you add up all the power differentials before Brink of War for those 9 Gen 1 KvKs, and then you divide it by 9, this is your average between them, 4.02. The low, meaning the group that is the most balanced off power. Now, yes, I realize I probably could have done this and looked at the 60 mil pluses for the total T5s and then also for the 100 mil pluses. So maybe we'll do that next time as I'm just thinking about it now. But the lowest powered group was 0.16 billion. That's pretty dang close, at least power-wise. The largest power differential for Gen 1 was 8.38 billion. When we get to Gen 2, you'll see it's 5.45. Right, so it's a slight but decently slight increase. Differential, 0.52 billion was the low. So again, like more than times 3 this. And then 18.59 is the high. That's more than double for Gen 1. And then we look at Gen 3, and it's 5.4. So still kind of aligned. But why is this happening? We'll get to that in a moment. 0.4 billion is the low. 15.34 is the high, still almost double compared to Gen 1. Well, why is that? Well, the answer is pretty obvious. So if we look at the amount of kingdoms that were involved in Dragonfall for that Season of Strife, we see that there is, agua, 130 kingdoms that were involved. There was 99 kings or queens, and 95 realms that registered that you can see here. If we look at Gen 2 for theirs, there was 187, 123 kings, and 101 realms that registered, right? So you would imagine, okay, well, maybe if there's 6 more realms that had registered, and there could have maybe been, no, actually, no, there wasn't, because I did double check that. So you have 6 more realms that registered Gen 2. You would imagine that the power averages would probably be a little similar. Now, it also depends on influx, right? So how many kingdoms were getting added across different generations into that season that could have also factored to the disparity, right? The kingdoms that were matched up in Gen 1 have already been playing a lot longer together, and they're also older kingdoms. So you're probably getting more newer kingdoms that are getting put in. Plus, you have to account for the kingdoms that skipped from Gen 1 and went into Gen 2. So not only are you getting a little more disparity on the high end, which is from those stronger older kingdoms that skipped, but you're also having to deal with some of the newer kingdoms that are getting populated into Gen 2. And so you're kind of getting a little bit wider, right? So you're getting a higher end and you're getting a lower end, right? And then we look at Gen 3 and look at the amount of kingdoms that registered for this, right? Now, this is a little bit more clear in my eyes on why you would probably see a little bit more of an average imbalance, because you only had 59 kingdoms that registered. Now, in total, they added one more, so you actually had 60 kingdoms altogether, which again gave you the 6 KvKs for Gen 3. That's the one that starts tomorrow or today at reset by the time this video comes out. And so if you want to look at the Gen 1s, let's show you this. So here's Gen 1 on the lowest group. And I realized after I took these screenshots that I probably could have taken them with the header there so you guys would have an idea on that. But essentially, this is just power, merits, M over P activity. There's kills, deads, heals. This is KP ratio, 60, 80, 100, 125, 150, 200. This is 60 million. So this column is totals. And then you have 100 million T5s over here. I'm shocked that I can remember that without looking at it. Short-term memory loss is doing me good today, or not doing me good today. That's actually a good thing. But this is the low. So this is the Gen 1 low, 0.16 bill, right? This was the RK, Echo, GG, RAC, Kong, EIS, BXS, pay to win group. The high was the SLR, SVR, OGC, L2NV, SHPWT. Then there's MFD, Riven, Lossy, MBH, LOC, JKL. They were at an 8.38 billion differential. This was Gen 2. So here's the Gen 2 low. This was HP, SNK, SHPZ, PBW, AVO, GRZ. Then there's IFAP, RP, FOD, DWO, HSD, and NWE. They had a 0.52. Then the high was 18.59 billion. I mean, big disparity. Not super big, at least when it comes to the 60 mil pluses and the 100 mils. But this was IBO, PX, Tazo, TGV, NS, Phoenix, and then we had Raven, Ham, SG97, Onyx, O5, DK, and KDA. And then we get to Gen 3, which this is the group that is going to be starting on the 7th, I believe, for tomorrow. And this is the low. So the low is Korn, DRH, GOS, I352, Sync, WOV. They're going up against Deet, Nova, Drew, or Dre, WB, SH, and GOK3. So the low is 0.4 billion. That's not bad. The high, however, is 15.34 billion, and that's TFT, DG, Evo, LL, DIM, Dime. Then, which I think is a great alliance name, LV, RAV, XSJ, RP, AA, and WER. And so, again, you look at this situation and you think to yourself, well, how are we going to get better here? And I think it's just simply put, I think I said this in a previous video, my belief and my hope is that I think there's two ways you basically solve this, right? Or at least you make some headway going in a positive direction. Number one is you add more kingdoms to the kingdom pool, right? So you work on trying to get Gen 2 into Gen 1. You work on eventually moving Gen 3 into Gen 1. Now, maybe you do this where you delay one KvK a week and you push up the other KvK a week. Or you just flat out say, look, we're going to delay Gen 1 because this is Gen 1, right? So Gen 1, their KvK ends on the 11th. That's in 5 days, 4.5 days if you want to be a little more technical. And then you have Gen 2, they end on the 4th. From the 11th to the 4th, because I think there's 28 days in February, right? So we're looking at 14 and a half. So you're looking at 3 weeks in between. Would I be okay? And I'm sure would a number of other kings and queens in the Gen 1 pool be okay waiting 3 weeks if they could get 101 to potentially up to 123 kingdoms in their pool to register for Dragonfall? I mean, you're basically more than doubling at that point. I say that's a win. Even if you have to wait 3 weeks, it's a one-time wait and you're good for the foreseeable future, at least until you need to get Gen 3 over there. Now, that's one way to do it. The other way to do it is you just delay the start of Gen 1 by a week, and maybe you push Gen 2 up a week. And so they'll be delayed a little bit for the next KvK, but then the second KvK after, then you can merge them together, right? Personally, I think let's just rip the Band-Aid off and put everyone together, and then let Gen 1 and Gen 2 play it out, and then just try and push up Gen 3 by a week or two, or maybe delay them starting a week or two to line up, so that way you delay them this upcoming season, or sorry, once Gen 3 finishes this season, and then the next season after this upcoming one, that's when you try and basically merge Gen 1, Gen 2, and Gen 3 together. That is what I would like to see. Because I think that if we have that happen, we will have more fair and more balanced matchups because the powers will be a lot closer together. You also have to consider that now that they are kind of hard capping off the full statuses and we're not getting any crazy uncapped migration seasons, those numbers on the high end are going to keep coming down and down, especially with the amount of migration movement that we're seeing with kingdoms that are basically leaving their full to crowded status and they're opting to go to dead/rebuild kingdoms. The top end is just going to lower even more. And so I think this is actually the perfect time for them to really start looking at, let's really get into balance. The number two thing that I would love to see them do, and this is something that I think really will just, once again, go hand in hand and complement each other, is they need to make it to where you cannot register for different KvKs. You need to have one KvK storyline per season. Maybe until you get to, maybe until Season 3 comes out, and then you have Season 3, Season of Strife, and you want to do something, okay, maybe. Or you just do rotating KvK storylines. The challenge here is that when you can choose, like if we go to Season of Strife, look at this, Season 2, Iceman Oath, you have one storyline, no one's choosing. Pre-Strife, one storyline, no one's choosing. When you get to Season of Strife, you have 3 different storylines. Instead of allowing people to choose different storylines, what you should do is have one storyline and then you rotate the storyline each season. So if Pre-Strife and Season of 2 or Pre-Strife people are coming in from pre-war and Season of Strife people just ended the season, they go into pre-war, and let's say everyone just finished Dragonfall, but Pre-Strife hasn't played Dragonfall. Okay, too bad, so sad. Now everyone's going into Winter is Upon Us. And then eventually, you'll come back to Dragonfall. The reason why is because when you have multiple choices, just like when you have multiple time slots and days in Roots of War, what's one of the biggest complaints about Roots of War? Well, we're not always getting the most consistent and most fair and balanced matchups for where we are in our ranking and for the power that we're registering. And part of that is because if everyone registered for the same day and the same timeline, you probably wouldn't have that issue. However, that is somewhat unrealistic, but KvK is different because you're not having to choose a specific day and time slot. So again, what I would like to see them do is have only one KvK storyline. That way it ensures everyone is registering for it, which also gives you the highest percentage chance to have the most balance and most fair KvKs. And number two, if you rotate the KvK storylines once you get to Season Strife, then you still get to play them all. So to me, those are the two things I would like to see them change. And I think if they do that, they will be a cut above. They will see so much community engagement and appreciation. And if they take the time to explain it more or less in the way that I have, even if they want to do it shorter, you will have quality of life and balance and fairness that will just go up through the roof. This to me seems like it could be a huge win, and in one of the most opportunistic areas right now, and one of the most disappointing areas for a number of the KvKs. It doesn't mean all of them are happening within the storylines, but a number of the KvKs are, and we can see that through the data. Of course, I would love to know what you guys think. Let me know in the comments down below. Are you yay? Are you nay? Do you have a different suggestion than the one that I've provided? Please do feel free to let me know down there. That is going to do it for me. As always, until next time, we'll catch you later.